Good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss third ventricle. So what is third ventricle? Third ventricle is the cavity of the diencephalon. This topic will be discussed under following points or headings: introduction, extension, communications, boundaries, recesses, choroid plexus and tela choroidea. So first is the introduction or definition. So what is third ventricle? It is the cavity of the diencephalon. It is actually the interthalamic space which lies between the two thalamus and which is lined by ependyma. So in this diagram we can see this area suggests third ventricle. Okay, and what is the extension? Third ventricle extends from the anteriorly, it extends from the lamina terminalis to posteriorly up to the cerebral aqueduct of midbrain. Okay, so anteroposteriorly it extends from the lamina terminalis to the cerebral aqueduct of midbrain. So this is the extension of the cavity of third ventricle. Okay, this cavity is of third ventricle. Communications. So we know that there are following ventricular cavity in our brain: lateral ventricle, third ventricle, fourth ventricle. So anteriorly it communicates with the cavity of the lateral ventricle through the interventricular foramen of Monro. So this is the interventricular foramen of Monro. Posteriorly it communicates with the cerebral aqueduct of midbrain. So this is the area of the brainstem. So which are the part of brainstem? Midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata, and this is the area of the cerebellum. So between the pons and medulla oblongata anteriorly and cerebellum posteriorly there is the cavity of fourth ventricle. So lateral ventricle initially it communicates with the cerebral aqueduct of the midbrain, and later on aqueduct of midbrain communicates with the fourth ventricle cavity. Boundaries. So which are the boundaries of the third ventricle? So following boundaries are possible: roof, floor, anterior wall, posterior wall and lateral wall. Okay, before we go for the boundary, we have some orientation. We will get some orientation regarding this sagittal section. Okay, so this portion is known as corpus callosum. Corpus callosum. Beneath the corpus callosum is known as fornix. Fornix. Okay. The cavity between corpus callosum and fornix, this cavity is known as lateral ventricle. This is lamina terminalis. Lamina terminalis. This is the optic chiasma. This is the optic tract. Optic tract. Sorry. This is the pituitary gland or hypophysis cerebri. Okay. This is the anterior pituitary and this is the posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis, which lies in connection with the hypothalamus. This is the hypothalamic sulcus which extends from the interventricular foramen of Monro anteriorly to the posteriorly up to the cerebral aqueduct of midbrain. This hypothalamic sulcus will divide diencephalon into two portions: ventral portion and dorsal portion. Ventral portion is known as hypothalamic area or hypothalamus. Dorsal portion is known as thalamus or thalamic area. Okay, this is the mammillary body. Okay, in fact this area is of hypothalamus which has got various nucleus. One of its prominent nucleus is mammillary body. Behind the mammillary body, this perforated part is known as posterior perforated substance. Posteriormost, this is the part of epithalamus, that is the pineal gland, and beneath that there will be midbrain. This is the tegmental part of midbrain and this is the tectal part of the midbrain. Here we can see superior and inferior colliculus. Through the midbrain there will be passage of cerebral aqueduct of midbrain, okay, which communicates anteriorly with the cavity of lateral ventricle inferiorly it communicates with the fourth ventricle. This is the pons and this is the medulla oblongata. Okay, so this is the outline of this section. Now we'll discuss the boundary. So which are the points while discussing the boundary? So first will be the anterior wall. So which are the structure forming the anterior wall? So above to downward we can see first part is the lamina terminalis, then optic chiasma, anterior commissure. This dotted portion is known as anterior commissure. What is anterior commissure or commissurial fiber? They are the commissurial fiber which passes through the lamina terminalis upper part, which mainly communicates the frontal lobe. So three parts which form the anterior wall: lamina terminalis, anterior commissure, optic chiasma. Posterior wall, that is formed mainly by pineal gland. This is the pineal gland. Above the pineal gland there will be upper lamina, and below the pineal gland inferiorly there will be inferior lamina. So through the upper lamina there will be passage of commissurial fiber which is known as habenular commissure. From here the habenular commissure will pass. Through the inferior lamina posterior commissure will pass. Okay, so pineal gland, habenular commissure and posterior commissure, which forms the posterior wall, anterior wall, posterior wall. Now we go for the roof. So this part, this lining suggests the roof. We can see the roof lies below the inferior surface of the column of the fornix. Okay, so this lining suggests the roof. So what is this lining? Roof is formed by the ependyma, which stretches across the supromedial aspect of the thalamus. We know that this area is of thalamus. Thalamus has got lateral surface and medial surface. Medial surface is facing towards the cavity of the lateral ventricle. Lateral surface projects towards the internal capsule, that we cannot see in this diagram. But on the supromedial aspect, over here, supromedial aspect, there will be ependymal reflection. Okay, that ependyma along with double layer fold of pyometer. Here we can see this dotted line. Ependymal lining along with the double layer fold of pyometer, which is known as stella choroidea. Okay, that will form the roof. Okay, so roof is formed by ependyma, which is supplemented by double layer fold of pyometer, which is known as stella choroidea. Okay, so this ependymal lining is also supplemented by another structure that is known as stria medullari thalami. So that is the white matter which extends from the olfactory area up to the habenular nucleus. Okay, that is the stria medullari thalami. That also forms the roof. Now floor. Floor is mainly formed by various structures from anterior to posterior. They are, first one is optic chiasma, then tuber cinerarium of median eminence. Okay, that we have already discussed along with hypothalamus. This elevation is known as tuber cinerarium of median eminence. Then this notch-like invagination, which is known as infundibulum. Behind it there will be mammillary body, which is the part of the hypothalamic nucleus. Behind the mammillary body, posterior perforated substance, and behind the posterior perforated substance there will be tegmentum or tegmental part of the midbrain. So floor is formed by anterior to posteriorly following structure: anteriormost optic chiasma, then median eminence of tuber cinerarium of median eminence, infundibulum, mammillary body, posterior perforated substance, and tegmental part of midbrain. So all these parts form the floor. Okay, so far we have discussed anterior wall, which is formed by lamina terminalis, anterior commissure and optic chiasma. posterior wall mainly formed by the pineal gland and related structure. Roof is formed by the ependyma, styomedullary thalami and thalacoroidea of the third ventricle. Floor is formed by the structure of the interpendicular fossa, that is the optic chiasma, and median tuber cinereum or median eminence, infundibulum, mammillary body, posterior perforated substance, and tegmental part of the midbrain. Then lateral wall. Lateral wall is mainly formed by the thalamus in the dorsal part, hypothalamus in the ventral part. Both are separated by hypothalamic sulcus, this dotted line which extends from the interventricular foramen of Monro to the cerebroaqueduct of midbrain. Okay, that is the lateral wall. Our next point is recesses. So what is this recesses? Recesses are basically the extension of the cavity of the third ventricle at various places in the surrounding structure. Okay, so there are various type of the recesses. Here we have mentioned it with number. For example, one number, it suggests the infundibular recess. Infundibular recess, that is the recess of the this third ventricle in the north part of the infundibulum, that is known as infundibular recess. Two numbers suggest supraoptic recess, supraoptic recess, or just simply optic or chiasmatic recess, that is the recess which lies above the optic chiasma. Then third number, anterior recess, or another name of anterior recess is vulva of the ventricle, vulva of the ventricle. So what is this anterior recess? This recess lies between the anterior commissure anteriorly, interventricular foramen of Monro posteriorly, and diverging column of the fornix on each side. Okay, which is known as anterior recess or vulva of the ventricle. Then fourth number suggests the suprapineal recess, which lies above the superior lamina of the pineal gland, which actually in relation with the habenular commissure, that is known as suprapineal recess. Fifth number, which suggests pineal recess, just pineal recess, which lies in between the diverging lamina of the pineal gland. Okay, so that is known as pineal recess. Okay, so following are the various recesses of the lateral ventricle. This is the actual section of the brain that we have dissected out. Here we can, where we try to find various recesses. Okay, so first we have orientation regarding this section. Okay, this is the majority of area which suggests the cerebral cortex with sulcus and gyrus. This is the corpus callosum. Okay, here we can see the lamina terminalis, rostrum, chenu, body, splenium, various parts, fornix. This is our thalamus. Okay, so this is the cavity of the lateral ventricle. Here we can see the pineal gland, which is having two lamina, inferior lamina and superior lamina. This is the tectal part of midbrain, tegmental part of midbrain. At the junction of tectum and tegmentum, there will be passage of cerebral aqueduct of midbrain. This is the optic chiasma. Okay, so above the optic chiasma there will be supraoptic recess. In this area there will be anterior recess or vulva of ventricle. Infundibular recess that we cannot see over here. This is the pineal recess between superior and inferior lamina of the pineal gland. Okay, so all these recesses we can see in this section. Our last point is the thalacoroidea and choroid plexus. Okay, so what is the thalacoroidea? As we have already learned along with the discussion of the previous ventricle, thalacoroidea is nothing but it is the double layer fold of the pyometer. Okay, along with the ependyma, it will line the cavity of the ventricle. Okay, so here we can see there are two layers of the tela choroidea, two layers of the pia mater. Okay, ventral layer and dorsal layer. Ventral layer immediately in contact with the roof of the this third ventricle. Okay, anteriorly it extends up to the level of the interventricular foramen. Posteriorly it extends up to the pineal gland. Dorsal layer lies over the inferior surface of the fornix, then it winds around the plania of the corpus callosum. Okay, and the space between the ventral and dorsal layer of the tela choroidea is occupied by blood vessel of that area. For example, in this area, posterior choroidal artery will enter. Posterior choroidal artery, we know that it is the branch of the posterior cerebral artery. Okay, which is in fact the terminal branch of this vertebral artery. Okay, so posterior choroidal artery along with the tela choroidea will form the choroid plexus. Okay, and thereby it will helpful in the formation of the CSF. The cavity of the lateral ventricle is lined by ependyma. Okay, that is the generalized lining. Except in the area of the roof, which is lined by choroidal epithelial cell, that will derive the CSF from this choroid plexus. Okay, so here we will finish. Thank you.